Hi, this is Margaret Scott, the first female writer in Transformers comics, and you are listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
Welcome to The Pull Bags, Back Issue Classics. Join us as we talk about comics from yesteryear, from DC, Marvel, and more. So open your ears to hear our discussion of the older continuities, as the Back Issue Classics are also what's in The Pull Bag.
Look! It isn't even dented! Oh shit, what are we gonna do now?
Hello and welcome to The Pull Bag. This is Autobotly April Back Issue Classics. Once again, we're here to talk about more Robots in Disguise, not Rid, X-Rid, whatever you want to call it, the book formerly known as Robots in Disguise. We're here to talk about Volumes 8 and 9. I am, of course, TFG and Mike. Joining me is Ryan, TheUnEvenFlow Merkley. Hello, sir.
Yo.
So, yeah, Combiner Wars is over.
Yay.
And,
Marvel has me, annoyed at events, so... And the IDW stuff, let's be honest, hasn't always worked, so...
Yeah. I can't decide which one of the train wrecks is going to be the worst out of the three. Dark Cybertron, Combiner, or Revolution. I haven't even read it yet, so...
Oh, I've tried and end up reading synopses in the end, because the individual issues are just painful.
Alright, so we're here to talk about Rid 8 and 9, Volumes 8 and 9. Volume 8, first of all, collects issues 42 to 45. Yeah, 42 should have been in the Combiner Wars trade, because that's the Combiner Wars epilogue.
Yeah, it would have been nice, and I think it would have helped it a lot, too, because in terms of story, it's basically just an epilogue. It's most of the major players, and some not major ones, like RC and Galvatron, but most of them conversing. So we get, Prowl and Prime talking / Prime punching Prowl, which, good lord, talk about long deserved.
Now, what did you think of that action? Because that's Livio's art.
That's fine. When it's one-on-one and he doesn't have to do the cutaway panels, like he did in Combiner Wars, I think it's quite clear.
Okay.
It was just the smaller panels combined with a lot more going on. This is a much slower sort of fight. Part of it is because neither of them is really trying to kill each other, I would think.
No. No.
But, yeah, it all works. Yeah, artwork-wise, Livio's stuff is really good here. I mentioned it before. I think he's a great artist.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes his action can kind of fall apart. And in this one, there's not many moving parts. So I think it worked perfectly here.
Yeah.
The rest of the art, too, is solid. I really like how Galvatron is... I like how Galvatron and RC are designed here. Different artists have had very different interpretations of both of them. And, I don't know, I think this one works for them.
Yeah, I got a little wonky with RC as the trade went on, but after getting used to seeing her, the problem I had, and I don't know if it was because she kept putting on the stealth paint or if they just kept changing the colors. In daylight, she's pink. In darkness, she's black with pink bits.
Black with pink, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't mind it. I'm not going to take a point off of my score because of it. I'm just saying it took me a while to get used to it. Just to get the creative out of the way. Written by John Barber, obviously. Art by Andrew Griffith and Livio Remendelli. Colors by Josh Perez and Livio as well. Letters, as always, Tom B. Long.
Yay.
Yay. So,
and I like Andrew Griffith, too. Should note that. He's another one of my... If it weren't for Milne and Livio, I think... Actually, I like pretty much all the... I could sit here and list them all, because I really like Sarah Stone's as well. I don't know. So, I don't know. I think I just like all their art, so heck with it. I'm not even going to bother finishing my earlier thought.
Yeah.
The first issue's really good, though. I like it a lot. The interactions all click, the dialogue and everything else. It's clear what's happening.
Yeah, it's very, very clear and very, very interesting to see how this all is going to end up for them. And, I thought at one point earlier when we were in Rid 6 and 7 that something had happened to Astrotrain, but no, he's alright. I thought he died already.
No, that's much later.
Yeah, I know. But I just...
Astrotrain.
Yeah, poor Astrotrain. I just love seeing him. I really do.
For the record, too, yeah, I do actually like him, and I like how he's portrayed in these books. But opposite side of that, too, it's another thing that just annoys me that Galvatron just uses his troops, and throws them away, etc., etc. Again, it's an issue because I wonder, why would anybody follow this guy?
Yeah.
He's terrible. Anyway.
I mean, especially what he's doing to Skywarp. Oh, poor Skywarp.
Yeah, he's literally using him to death.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous. But no, ever since I was a kid, Astrotrain, and to a slightly lesser extent, Blitzwing, but the first triple changers I knew were Astrotrain and Blitzwing, and I loved the hell out of them in the old cartoon and in the original toys.
Blitzwing was always my favorite of the bunch, yeah, and Octane never really got a lot of time.
Octane got like one.
Octane in this series, I think
yeah,
he's like
really.
He's not. Yeah, he had one episode focusing on him in the original series.
Yeah, because he and Sandstorm were buddies.
Yeah, and I was about to say the Autobots side for the triple changers, like Sandstorm and Broadside, really didn't get much.
Yeah,
obviously Springer is the main one that.
And he only used his his third mode like once or twice. He used it in the movie.
He's like never a car.
Yeah, he's never.
To be fair, if you could be a helicopter, why would you be a car?
Yeah.
Oh, well, anyway.
Yeah. You know what I'm really surprised at, and I know this is probably for time, and I know we're getting off topic here, folks, but since you brought up Springer, I'm surprised in Only Human that they did not try to get his helicopter mode transformed into the car mode. That's what I'm really, because I know you know this, but for anybody listening that doesn't know this, in the G1 episode entitled Only Human, Cobra Commander comes in and finds a way to get the Autobots' souls out of their metal bodies and make them human. He basically becomes Ursula before Ursula was a thing. Anyway. So, back to Rid.
Next issue?
Yeah.
All right. Next issue, we sort of get back to normal in terms of we're back to the original sort of storyline. The next one is dominated by Soundwave and Cosmos.
Yep.
And first of all, I really liked the fleshing out of Cosmos' character, who I really like. And as much as I love Soundwave in this book, man, his characterization near the end of this issue is really off when he basically just bashes drones to Cosmos, which is why Cosmos won't join him. But, I mean, Soundwave was the one that was fighting for equal rights to his cassettes, Ravage in particular, because I mean Ravage has a beast mode which is looked down upon, especially by Galvatron, which, by the way, again, why is anybody, especially Soundwave, following this guy? Because he's a bag of dicks to Soundwave's friends. But anyway.
Yeah.
So that was weird to me. It just felt a little off. I realized Soundwave doesn't think the people of Earth are sentient or mean anything or similar. You know, he believes they're inferior to Cybertronians.
Yeah.
But yeah, the rest of it, just it didn't make sense to me. So that was the only downer in terms of the stuff between the two of them, and it's not a major point. I really liked the Soundwave Cosmos stuff.
Yeah,
and then we get to the humans.
Okay, before we get to the humans, this is the issue where Soundwave is taken to the commune, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what I liked about this was, number one, I don't remember the last time I saw Laserbeak and Buzzsaw in the same place. Maybe 10 years ago in animated. Maybe. I doubt it. No, because they had Ratbat and Laserbeak as the Keytars.
Yep.
But it's weird to me seeing Laserbeak and Buzzsaw talk to each other.
They're basically Statler and Waldorf.
Yeah, they pretty much are. And I like that, but it just, I don't know, it's just kind of weird. I think Soundwave needs to put on his black paint job and rename himself to Sound Blaster, because he essentially became Darth Vader in this issue. This is most impressive. That was hilarious. Oh, Lord. So funny. What else did I have for this one? Yeah. Was this the one where we see Starscream going out of his mind? Or is that the next issue?
Nope, not this one.
Okay, that's the next issue. Okay, I'll talk about that next
issue. There are
issue.
no appearances of anyone on Cybertron. This is all
that's right. This is all Earth. Yeah, that's
Earth/commune-based crew.
Yeah. That's what I like about this, and you can talk about the humans here in a second. That's what I like about RID at this point, because they are on two different planets. The story is on two different planets that, depending on where Barber wants the story to take place next, that's what the issue one issue focuses solely on Earth, and it might have hints of Cybertron, and then the next issue may be all Cybertron with a few various hints of Earth. I think that's very well done. Okay, let's talk about the shitty humans. What's up with the shitty humans?
I just don't like Blackrock. I think his dialogue is annoying. Anytime he's on the pages, I just want to hit him. The next problem is, and with it, hell with it, I'll get into it. So, one of the differences, so in here, one of my annoyances is he has a habit of referencing stuff that is essentially pop culture, which I'm not a huge fan of in these books. Mm-hmm. And before anyone goes off and says, like, well, you love this stuff from James Roberts, who constantly uses pop culture. Roberts has a tendency to use stuff that's essentially timeless, though. We'll talk about it more in the next
podcast,
set. But I mean, when you reference something like Cheers, that's okay to me, because that's something, 100 years from now, Cheers is probably still going to be remembered pretty fondly.
I mean, yeah, it's the place where everybody knows your name. And honestly, seriously, when I first started reading these so many years ago, as soon as I saw McAdams and the way it was laid out, originally in More Than Meets the Eye in those very first volumes, that's the first thing I fucking thought of was Cheers.
And obviously we get the amazing, which somebody has turned into a song on YouTube, which is wonderful, jingle for Swerves to the tune of Everybody Knows Your Name. It's fantastic. But anyway, so the difference here to me is just, you've got these timeless references versus you have Blackrock using references to, ICP skits and stuff that, oh boy. Yeah. I mean, maybe, 100 years from now, Juggalos will be remembered, but it'll be for voting Donald Trump into office and not. Oh, anyway, not anything good.
Oh my God! Yeah, I don't understand Blackrock. I don't like him.
Now, to be fair, I'm not sure we're supposed to like him.
Oh, obviously.
But, yeah, I mean, I'd argue we're not. But the problem here is the other human characters are already unlikable enough through their actions and dialogue, and the fact that they're essentially depicted as morons.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is that later down, I think it's in the next issue or wherever the hell it is, but as we go along, in Blackrock's part of the story, when he goes to that secret jail later, I actually kind of am on Spike's side here. I would rather root for Spike in this trade specifically than Blackrock.
Oof, that's painful.
I know. Ain't it, though?
Yeah.
But, alright, what else we got for this one?
I don't have a lot else. I mean, the artwork here is solid. Again, it gets some... like I said before, I liked the interaction between Cosmos and Soundwave.
Yeah, because that's not an interaction you would normally see.
No, and one thing about these trades, or this trade in particular, there's a lot of interactions that work pretty solidly. Like next time we get Needlenose and Trax, two characters who, I mean, Needlenose was in, early RID, And why do people only text me when I'm recording something? I
swear. Quit Breaking Bad over there.
That's my text notifications. Yeah. Sweet. So, Needle Nose was only in the first volume, really, and even then, he only, all we really knew about him was he was bad and he hung out with Horrible, who, got blowed up real good.
Yeah.
So yeah, the bulk of the next issue, in fact, is their interactions, and the next issue is the first time we get Starscream seeing Bumblebee and talking to him.
Oh my god, my heart broke. I'm like, no. I understand why it's there, and I like that it's there because it adds to Starscream, but like I forgot that had because I hadn't. Well, I shouldn't say I forgot because I never actually read these singly. So, but I figured, okay, it's IDW. Bumblebee is dead. They're not going to do, Bumblebee is essentially the Uncle Ben of the series. They're not going to do any weird, oh, wait, yes, they are.
It hasn't been that long.
It feels like it has. I don't know.
Anyway, no comments about Bumblebee. That's a spoiler for much later.
Oh, crap. So yeah, we see more of Starscream, and we
Just
get
a little bit. There's not a whole lot.
Yeah. And we get this nice little thing where it's RC and Galvatron and the whole thing between Earth and Cybertron, because Galvatron's Soundwave is trying to get all of the Decepticons to come up to the commune and whatever else, and Galvatron's going to use that for nefarious purposes, obviously.
Well, we don't actually see Galvatron here. It's Brawl is essentially recruiting for him, and in the end, it's Brawl and Needlenose are essentially restarting Megatron's Decepticons, but I mean, led by Galvatron, they're kind of more just thugs.
Yeah.
To be fair, like some of them were under Megs as well, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, yes, this is the issue though with the invite to the commune. We get a lot of RC in this one as well too, including a amusing scene where, she has one of Starscream's badgeless in front of him and kills him.
Mm-hmm. Yep. She kills him. Like she kills everything.
It just reminded me of some of the stuff with Ratbat.
Yeah. Good old Senator Ratbat.
Anyway, it's this was another solid issue with a number of different interactions. Obviously, RC and Starscream don't chat too much. And like I said before, we really haven't seen anything of Needlenose and Trax, much less the two of them interacting with one another.
And supposedly they're brothers?
Yes.
Oh boy.
Can't you see the resemblance?
Yeah, one has a faceplate, one doesn't.
I don't know how the Spark Brothers things work. Don't look at me.
I don't know.
But yeah, in terms of the actual plot, this one is more just kind of tightening the screws and building. But I don't know. It still worked for me. I still liked it. I thought the dialogue and stuff really works well in this issue.
Yeah, it does. And what I'm liking about Barber's writing here is that he seems to, because we're past the anxiety. I don't know if the guy has anxiety over planning events. I would assume any person in that position would, because you have to get so much into so little of a thing. But we're past the point of him having to worry about what to throw in, what not to throw in, how to tell the story, how not to tell the story. And here you can kind of go back to, you have the aftermath, obviously, of Combiner Wars, but you can kind of get back to a baseline of where you want your Transformers story to go.
I also think this trade is split much better than the previous one, in terms of we essentially get one full issue of, Cybertron. And then, this issue, for example, that we're talking about now is Cybertron. Yeah. But we earlier had the one which was the Commune / Earth, most of the Earth-based characters.
Yep.
And then earlier, before then, it was another Cybertron. And next, by the way, we moved to Earth or Earth's orbit again.
Yeah.
So I think it just works. Barber is kind of at his best when he can just work with individual pieces and kind of click it together a little later.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of balancing location, it's almost the same sort of thing. Like, even when R.I.D., the first 5-ish volumes, I'd still say are his best work so far.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it was the same location, it still focused on, different areas or characters during that run. You'd have an issue from Ironhide's point of view.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I like about it. Yeah,
so.
What I like about R.I.D. is that what you're saying is when you would have a specific character narrating the issue and giving you their point of view on the events that are unfolding.
Yeah.
Like, later we'll have R.C. doing that.
And I think one of the issues, too, is it depends on the characters, because to be blunt, that's another reason to me why the human point of view ones in the previous trades didn't necessarily work, because the humans aren't the best characters, and their perspective is
warped.
Not the smartest.
No. I mean, it's just not.
Speaking of which, hey, let's join the humans again in the next issue. But anyway. So the next issue, opens with your favorite character, Thundercracker, chatting with Marissa and, other woman whose name I can't remember now. That's not good.
Yeah, the other lackey.
Getting old.
And the best part about this is Buster trying to chew off his finger. I love that dog. I think I said this last time when we did Rid. I may have not have, but I know this will never happen because I don't think Marvel and IDW are ever going to team up. But I'd love to have just a single one-shot issue with Buster and Hawkeye's pizza dog.
They did team up, though, because we had the Transformers Avengers crossover.
Oh, really? Okay, well. Yeah, that's true.
That was IDW. Anyway, in terms of this, too, well, to be honest, by the way, Buster might be the smartest Earth-based character.
Yes.
She is. So, speaking of which, we move to BlackRock and Spike starting their conversation.
Yeah.
Where BlackRock starts to show off some of his plan, which involves Cybertronian writing, which, then we cut to Jetfire figuring that out as well. There's code with old Cybertronian in it that's ancient.
And the code keeps changing.
Yeah, and so we get a number of our Earth-based crew. In this case, it's Jazz and Cup heads to the Arctic, where the signal's coming from. Well, it's near the South Pole, so the Antarctic, sorry. But anyway.
Yeah.
Where they get attacked by gigantic ramjet-looking human-based and human-controlled, as we eventually find out.
Ramjet
zombie
thrust
monstrosity
combiner.
Things.
Yeah.
Which promptly, tears Jazz's limbs off, which probably hurt. And doesn't do any good to... they may chase Skylynx away.
Yeah, I've never really been apologetic to Skylynx in any continuity, but damn, what happens to Skylynx in this trade is just so wrong.
Well, this trade he's just kind of left alone. It's not that bad. Although he slams into the... So while this is all going on, too, something attacks the ship in orbit, which Sideswipe, RC, and Alpha Trion are all remaining on.
Yep.
And it gets kind of blown to bits. And Skylynx slams into the shield, which is activated around it accidentally, which is what resulted in it being blown to bits. And we discover, through all this, unsurprisingly, that BlackRock has kind of controlled all this. Galvatron comments that he knew all of this was happening and he had manipulated events. And we kind of end on a cliffhanger with, the ship's in trouble, Jazz and Cup are down, Skylynx is down, and it looks like, Galvatron and co. are going to get their hands on the space bridge that's sitting on this ship.
Mm-hmm.
The Endo trade.
Yep, pretty much. Now, Soundwave wants the space bridge, but Soundwave wants the space bridge for peace. Because Soundwave wants to use the whole thing to get everybody, not just Decepticons, not just ex-Decepticons or whatever, Nails, whatever, get everybody. Because he wants to go back to before Megatron kind of perverted the Decepticon cause, wants to go back to the original way it was supposed to be. And that's all well, good, and fine, but Galvatron's not going to let that happen. Galvatron's a fucking psycho.
And Galvatron is openly pontificating in front of Soundwave.
Yeah, I know!
Soundwave, who, even if Galvatron were chatting on Earth about it, could hear him anyway, because, his hearing's that good. But still, he's openly doing it, and Soundwave doesn't go,
What? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what it didn't, it's one of, so I still like this trade overall. I think Barber, when all of the pieces are actually moving, albeit, not super quickly, I think he handles that stuff really well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's some issues here. Soundwave's characterization is a little weird at points.
Yeah. And I think
the human characters always seem to be dumb, no matter who's writing them. So
yeah, I think my favorite part from Soundwave outside of the Darth Vader line was when Cosmos asked him, "How am I supposed to get in contact with you?" "Just say my name, I'll hear you."
And he does. So that's next trade.
That's the next trade. But yeah, Volume 8, like I said, the fallout from Combiner Wars, pretty much with the epilogue, and then, the whole thing with the rest of the story with Soundwave and the stuff, some of the minimal stuff on Cybertron. I like this trade. I think this is a much improved trade over Volume 6 and 7.
I actually really like 8 as well, but I don't want to get into...
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, that's
don't
what
want to get into that, but 9 as well.
9,
sorry, that's what I meant. But this is a huge improvement to me.
Yeah. Yeah, 9's coming up next year in a moment, folks, but we'll get to that a little bit later.
I just wanted to say that, as a whole, though, these two, to me, are much improved over a sort of plodding 6 and 7 that didn't necessarily have a payoff.
Yeah.
To be fair, IDW as a whole, whether it be Roberts or Barber, the payoffs haven't always equaled the extremely good setups.
Yeah.
But it's hard, because these two are really good at ratcheting up tension and using a lot of different methods to make you sort of feel something on the way up, so...
Yeah, absolutely they are. Volume 8, I would probably give it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what I gave 6 and 7. It's definitely higher than both those, but I think that's fair.
I liked all of the art. There wasn't really anything with the art that I didn't like. And like I said earlier, I think Barber's writing has gotten back to a point of where he's more comfortable focusing on the story he wants to tell, not just have to shove 120 characters into 200 pages of a comic book.
Yeah, he is a really good writer. And then, his current stuff on
Marvel.
Optimus Prime.
Optimus Prime.
Oh, Marvel as well, too. I've enjoyed that. But, Optimus Prime's been quite good as well, so...
I have not had a chance to peruse the new stuff yet. I need to get through all the old stuff first, folks. Yes. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with Volume 9 of Not Rid after this.
And use the power of the Matrix to light our darkest hour.
We are back here inside the pull bag. This is Autobotly April, Transformers, Robots in Disguise, Not Rid, X-Rid, whatever you want to call it, Volume 9. Oh boy, Volume 9. Volume 9 was interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, so 8, it's tough because to a certain extent, 8 felt like it's the volume where a lot of things are happening. I mean, I mentioned that. Mm-hmm. And 9 feels like it's mostly building, so it almost ends up feeling a bit like a holdover until we hit 10, which was, of course, 10 will encompass the 50th issue of X-Rid, RID, whatever the heck you want to call it. So that was sort of the big milestone issue. And then the other problem / thing going on is the fact that the series was also ending because they wanted to restart after Revolution happened, calling it just the Transformers again. Or sorry, no, it became Optimus
Prime.
Prime at that point, yeah. Restarting at 1 again.
Yep.
Stop restarting at 1, everybody. I find it really annoying.
Okay, but you got to admit, IDW held out for 5 or 6 years. Come on now. That, you know, they're not Marvel, they're not DC. They don't just do it to make money. So.
Well, that's why they tried to, but...
I know that's why they probably tried to.
But... Yeah, it didn't work because their sales fell off a cliff.
Oh, shit.
Oh, well. Anyway.
So as we go through this one, as it opens, I love the opening with Galvatron and Prime being the opposite ends of the spectrum. I thought that was great.
Yeah, I'll comment that the art here, it's Sarah Pitra DeRoche doing the bulk of it. The only one is the final issue of this trade, which is 49, is done. It's back to sort of the usual artist, Andrew Griffith.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love Sarah's art. I think her art is great.
Yeah, I mentioned this a few times, that in general, I like everybody at IDW's art. I really think they have assembled a cadre of artists whose stuff feels different from each other, yet still encompasses sort of, you can tell it's the same, universe and that kind of thing. And just, I don't know, it works really well. Everybody's really good at what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we go through this one, there are a lot of good lines in this. I was not expecting as many good quotes as Barber has given us in this one, because the whole juxtaposition of this trade for me is Optimus is trying to build this Council of Worlds, and it's not exactly going so well, and we've got the BlackRock stuff, we've got the Soundwave stuff and all of that. We get Galvatron trying to, allow the Decepticons to take back the universe. The subtitle for this storyline, 4-part storyline, is Conquerors.
Galvatron displays a measure of why people would follow him here. I know that's been a theme that I've harped on a few times, but he actually finally constructs a half-decent speech here that, is going to get his troops kind of fired up and that kind of thing. And so, for once he actually displays some element of of leadership in some form or another. And Soundwave, to close it all off too. We get a Camion introduced here. Aileron, I believe.
Aileron.
Is the pronunciation.
Yeah.
So anyway, she gets introduced as Prime has a conversation with her because being from Caminus and not being one of the other 3 we've seen previously who have been off planet, she idolizes Optimus Prime. So he has a conversation with her to try to basically get her to describe him.
Yeah.
Or how she sees him, in other words, so how the rest of Caminus sees him. And we get a bit with Soundwave continuing to try to build up his commune.
Yeah. I love when Windblade and Prime are out. This is right before they meet Aileron. They're out trying to stop the. Well, it's actually right when they meet her. They're trying to make peace between people who believe in the Primes and people who don't, and it's this whole, thing. And I love Windblade's line, "Dinobots, always Dinobots."
Yeah, we'll get to why that is when we do the one-shots.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, and then the last thing I wanted to point out, too, it's always exceptionally enjoyable to hear from Starscream in a John Barber comic. Mm-hmm. And he's terrific here. He has a brief conversation with Bumblebee. And they discuss the fact that Rat Trap's going to stab him in the back first chance he gets, which I like.
Yep. I'm slowly getting used to Optimus's design. There have been times when Andrew Griffith has done it, and there have been times when others have done it in the past couple of trades that I just his robot mode just kind of irks me a little bit sometimes, but I'm slowly getting used to it. There's a panel that I loved in this. It's where Aileron goes to kneel before Prime. And in the background, you see Windblade just snickering. I think that's hilarious.
Yeah. His look changes kind of subtly, especially the chest. Mm-hmm. Where he's got that split.
Yep.
It's either, more or less pronounced, depending on who's drawing it. Also, he becomes more or less kind of boxy.
Yeah.
I'll say this, though, no matter who's drawing him, I find at least you can see the robot mode and that kind of thing. One of the things that always bugs me with, Pat Lee on the Dreamwave stuff, that's, when Pat Lee actually drew stuff he was credited for, anyway, was the proportions were always off, and there was no way you could get a truck out of the guy.
Yeah.
So at least you can see, the way he's built in this, but yeah.
Yeah, and then later there's a page where he and Aileron are traveling.
They're headed out towards the Sea of Rust.
Yeah.
Which they get to in the next issue.
Yeah. There's a point here where they're having that conversation again, and Optimus transforms, and I can see, specifically in his, I don't want to say shoulder pads, but his shoulders, I can see where the sides of the top of the cab would go and all that and everything else. I think it's done very, very well. And some of the lines that Optimus has in this, I think are great. I think it's some of the best Optimus writing that I've seen in a long time. Where he goes and says something about, I've led enough. Leadership is the burden hardest to bear. And then later he says that I am the face of war. Which, yikes, Optimus. That's not good. But,
sad Optimus.
Sad Optimus, yeah. What were you thinking? What do you think of the whole thing with Soundwave and the commune and all that stuff?
I like Soundwave's ideas, and by the way, it makes sense for his character, particularly after everything that's happened with Megatron. Mm-hmm. I go back to I don't like it in terms of he should never have trusted Galvatron, because Soundwave isn't that stupid, and Galvatron has the habit of muttering, dumb shit in front of Soundwave, a guy who in this issue, can hear Cosmos from forever away.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, that
kind of bugs me too.
But, I mean, in terms of the character, the concept of a commune and trying to live in peace, as well as his desire to not follow the Primes, which we don't necessarily see as much in this trade as we do in the later one. Mm-hmm. But it all makes sense. Yeah, so I like Soundwave in these. I like his progression, and I feel like it's fairly earned.
Yeah, it is. I think it is very, very earned.
I think, yeah, and I think one of the things that Barber does best is when there's three factions with the Transformers. We saw it in RID with Metalhawk and the Nails, and then the Autobots and the Decepticons. Here we have Soundwave, who's sort of an offshoot, and then we have the Autobots and Decepticons still.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's fun because you have so many, like you were saying earlier, we had Metalhawk and the Nails and Bumblebee and the Autobots and Starscream and the Decepticons. Now it's a whole other way of thinking where you have Soundwave and the people that want, what he wants, and then Galvatron and the Decepticons, and also Starscream and his agenda, seeing Ghost Bumblebee and everything else. It's just one of those things where I never really, I remember when the cover for one of these issues came out where it's Soundwave and Cosmos on the cover, where I never would have thought that Soundwave and Cosmos would be a team-up we would ever really get to see that actually works very well, and it does.
Yeah.
In the second part of this, second issue for this trade, we get more of Soundwave Cosmos in the beginning, but then it switches to Thundercracker and Blackrock and all that boring Earth crap.
The bulk of this issue, aside from, Soundwave and Co., is, the two major issues are Prime and Aileron meet the Torchbearers, who can merge to form Victorion.
Yep.
Another combiner. They sort of challenge Optimus. They don't really seem to believe in him at this point, etc. And the other issue is the Decepticons on Cybertron make a push for the space bridge and begin attacking the crew on the Ark that we saw was disabled in the previous trade. Mm-hmm. And those are sort of the main things going on.
Yeah. I like the whole thing with Optimus and the Torchbearers. I think that's fun. I think that's really, really well written. And again, Sarah's art is just... because you have completely new characters in these Torchbearers. And, you get to do some sort of new design, and it's just very, very fun and interesting and cool. And, you said earlier about the Decepticons and them taking over the space bridge and everything else. And, of course, this is where Brother versus Brother comes in, because it's Trax and Needlenose. Yay!
Although Trax basically just gets shot, and then, Needlenose kicks him while he's down, but...
Yeah, Trax gets shot, Needlenose kicks him, which it kind of reminds me of Starscream kicking Megatron from the movie.
Yeah.
And again, I am just so totally creeped out by Ghost B. We've not had him for so long, and now Starscream is starting to see him, and I understand it's their way of getting Bumblebee back in the comics without, resurrecting him, which is fine, but it's just kind of freaks me out a little bit sometimes.
Well, they didn't want to resurrect him yet, so...
Yeah, yet. So we get the Combiner Victorian, we get the fight between her and Optimus Prime, and then she's like, no more fighting, and,
Well, it's Prime that points out that she's not going to kill him.
Yeah.
She basically just wants to hear sort of his side of the story.
Yeah.
In terms of, holding the Matrix and that kind of thing. She believes she should hold the Matrix, or is the rightful heir to it. Because everybody seems to believe that Optimus is a false Prime.
And I'm sure all the other haters out there will say the same thing about Rodimus one day, too. Anyway, so we go back to the ship. RC and Alpha Trion and Sideswipe, and it's weird seeing Sideswipe in the comics. I don't remember the last time we saw him outside of the more recent stuff here now, but...
Well, he doesn't appear much in Dark Cybertron, just as a background character.
Yeah.
But of course, he was fairly important in RID, because RC, to prove her loyalty, stabs him to the wall. But as eventually we learn, she didn't kill him or stab to injure him severely, and he's part of their plan to get away from Megatron.
Yeah. So we go back to this ship, and Needlenose and the Decepticons get aboard it, and they're going to take the Ark, and we go back to the commune with Soundwave and Cosmos and Skybite and a bunch of other people, and Galvatron comes in over the thing and says, Soundwave's like, and then peace will reign. Indeed it shall, Soundwave. Well, Galvatron's lying to him, obviously. That's just the way Galvatron is. And this one ends with Buster attacking R2-D2.
Well, and Doc, but anyway.
Yeah.
He's not attacking, they're chatting.
Yeah. Oh, that's, yeah. But, I mean, come on. Doc, if he was formed a little bit differently, he does kind of look like an R2 unit.
He's basically an upside down R2.
Yeah. So we get the next issue where Conquerors Part 3, where Doc and Buster are... This is essentially Pizza Dog, folks. Anyone's read the old Hawkeye series from Marvel, that's essentially what this issue is Pizza Dog.
Yeah, Doc and Buster decide to go and rescue the captured and severely injured Autobots, which consist of Jetfire, Cup, Skylynx, and Jazz, who we saw get banged up again in the previous trade.
Mm-hmm.
And they were sort of being drowned / killed slowly, and whatever the heck it is that BlackRock put them in. I can't remember the name. I know it's at the start of the trade, but anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, they help them escape. And yeah, I mean, that's the bulk of the issue.
Yeah.
Although at the end we see the humans also sort of escape / take over from BlackRock. And then, yeah, we have Galvatron show up with Skywarp and grab BlackRock, who he says, "Welcome home, my Cybertronian brother," too.
Yeah, that wasn't weird at all.
So we learn that BlackRock is a Cybertronian.
Yes. Okay, then. Yeah,
Thanks, Titan's Return.
Yeah, really. I love the art in this, though. The art in this is so good. Like the scenes where they finally find the room where Buster's like, bad water, very bad water. Just the whole, seeing all the Autobots in there.
Because of the dialogue, or because of the characters involved in the dialogue, the art has to be good.
Yeah.
And it was. So, I mean, that helped a lot. Because that first chunk of the book, like, it's more than... it's roughly 2/3 of the book are the Buster and Doc sort of story. And if the art doesn't work on that, then 2/3 of the book just fails miserably. So, yeah, it worked well in the end.
Yeah, very much so. And then... Part 4 opens up with Galvatron and Skywarp, and poor Skywarp. Guy. Oh, that guy just wants
He's not so bad yet, but anyway.
Yeah, yet is the key word there.
He's not completely translucent yet.
Oh, damn.
what? That's later on, that he is completely translucent. So we basically get, the first few pages are updates. Galvatron has busted in to go take Blackrock. Next is on the Ark, where everybody is under attack. Mm-hmm. And lastly, the Space Bridge room on Metroplex is under attack from the rest of the Decepticons. And so there are two portions of this issue that really bug me, and I'm not sure entirely whose fault it is.
Okay.
But one of them is the bit with Trax, where Windblade's like, oh, Trax is still alive, and seems all happy. Listen, you're in the middle of a gigantic firefight. I realized that you wanted to say that, he was alive and okay, but random exposition in the middle of it was probably not the best. And then the one that really bugs me is Sideswipe gets hit with a grenade and then blasted at close range by Brawl, who proclaims him to be deceased. That bugs me because in the next trade/issue, Sideswipe will show up. The bulk of him will be intact. He'll be put into a coma, which he's still in currently in this series. But in any case, I mean, man, it's one of those, how much does it take to kill a Transformer? And it seems to vary. It really bugs me when they do stuff like that, because Sideswipe takes way too much damage here to possibly survive.
Yeah, there's no way.
Versus Ravage getting, split in half by Tarn, which kills him. But Sideswipe's okay from, eating a grenade at close range, then being shot at close range. I don't know.
Yeah,
bugs me when they do stuff like that.
Yeah, that's not
also
cool at all.
Also, the Decepticons take time to stop and shoot him up, but nobody, stops to shoot up RC when they incapacitate her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost like Sideswipe has an Ironhide moment.
Yeah, well, except he's fine. Ironhide gets blown apart.
Yeah, such heroic nonsense.
So I mean, after that, too, next sequence, we get a page of Soundwave figuring out that, he was completely used.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then Cosmos thinks that Soundwave was in on it, which he wasn't.
Yeah, we know that, but to be fair, I mean, Cosmos, all evidence, i.e. controlling a space bridge and that kind of thing, does kind of point to him. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Galvatron just wanted the space bridge to have, as we saw in the other scenes, have a number of his Decepticons pile through, so he actually gets reinforcements on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And then beyond that, I mean, Prime and Co. arrive on Cybertron just in time to keep the Decepticons from overpowering everybody in the room and help round them up so that no more come through.
Mm-hmm.
Prime, with the help of Victorion, comes to the conclusion that they need to end war for good.
Yeah, you think?
Might be a good idea for Optimus.
We also get, earlier, before we get to the Optimus stuff, we get the other side of the Galvatron takeover scene with Skywarp. And Skywarp sends them to China. Hey,
yeah.
at least they can get away with being in China in the comics. God.
You deserve a joke for that. Anyway, so in the end, this all leads to a gigantic confrontation between Galvatron, the troops who did make it through the space bridge and onto the Ark, which has crashed in China, and Optimus Prime appears and declares that Earth has been annexed into the Cybertronian Council of Worlds, and that Earth is under his protection.
Mm-hmm.
And he does so with, Victorion and Superion backing him up with a number of troops.
Yeah, and once again, I love this art. I don't know, like, my only complaint about the final page of the trade of issue 49 is Optimus is holding a giant flagpole with an Autobot flag. That's the only thing that bugs me about it. The rest of the page is great.
I don't know. Maybe he keeps those in Metroplex's Space Bridge room just for such an occasion. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not.
That's a weird one.
Yeah, that's a very weird.
The only other thing I'll say too is I'm kind of disappointed that the confrontation between Prime's Autobots and the Decepticons in the next trade, which we'll get to in a later episode, but man, like Prime's kind of got the upper hand here, considering he has two combiners on his side. Yeah. There's very little reason why the confrontation lasts more than, the next issue, which I guess is something I should bring up in that trade. But in this one, like, man, he's really piling on with the troops because, we've seen it a number of times that in general it's immensely difficult to try to take out a combiner. So, yeah, having two of them there, as well as a whole a whole bunch of your troops, that's a lot.
He's got an army, yeah. And Starscream has two, doesn't he? He's got the aerial bots and... No, because Superion was with Optimus. Who is the other one that...
Well, Starscream has Devastator, most notably.
That's right. Yeah.
As noted earlier during the Combiner Wars discussion, Devastator's difficult to control because he's not very bright. And even though Scoop is subservient to Starscream, it doesn't mean the other 5 Constructicons are.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. Not Rid Volume 9, I really enjoyed it. I think what made me enjoy it a lot more than Volume 6, 7, or 8, and I enjoyed Volume 8, which we talked about earlier in this episode of the podcast, but it really is Sarah's art. I love her art style. It's just so fun. It's fun. It's very G1-esque without needing to be G1-esque. It has that style of it, though. John's writing in this is great because I love where the story is going. I love how he was able to introduce the Torchbearers. And I know it's going to come up later in the Distant Stars trade when Amy and Nicole and I eventually get around to doing that, but as far as Victorion's origin and all that, but it's just one of the things where I didn't feel like after reading this story in Volume 9 that I needed to... That's one thing John did well with this. He introduces the Torchbearers here like it's nothing that you need to go back and read 7 other issues for. And then they turn into Victorian, which I think was very well done. I think he's got a lot of story to juggle, though. I mean, we've been talking about it here in the Volume 9 portion of this episode. You've got Optimus and his thing, you got Starscream and his thing, Galvatron, and you got 4 core working parts of the story. And he makes it work well, but...
He makes it work well here, but this is also not the payoff, and that's... Yeah. We'll discuss that in the next trade, yeah. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh, boy. What would you give Volume 9, 0 to 5?
I give it the same as 8, which I'm pretty sure I gave an 8, if I remember right. Either way, it's a solid 8.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give it a 7.5, maybe. I maybe even give it an 8.5 because so basically 4.5 really. Because the art is good. There were parts of the story that I was kind of losing focus on, but then it brought me back in immediately with... I don't know. When I generally read through it, I don't find the story changes hard, but it's when I go back and I'm looking through it to refresh my memory. It's like, oh, that was fairly quick. We had one scene with that character, and now we have 6 scenes with these characters. But that's just me more so than anything else. So, all right, folks, that's going to do it for us here in the pull bag on this Autobotly April episode. Where can the people find you online, sir?
At Nightbeat.
That's on Twitter. I am
Twitter,
at TF2 and Mike. At Geekcast Radio for the other network updates. You can also follow at the Pullbag for those updates as well. Next time around, we head back to the Lost Light because we'll be More Than Meets the Eye, volumes 8 and 9 for the next episode, and then after that we got More Than Meets the Eye and Rid Volume 10. So who knows how James Roberts is going to destroy our hearts and minds now? So
I already know.
Well, yeah, we know you already know, but I don't know yet. So, oh boy. Make your greatest game in the comics, and we will catch you next time.
You've just heard the latest episode of The Pull Bag, the GCRN's comic review and discussion podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate our show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Call the voicemail line, 502-526-5821. Please remember to tell us the show you are leaving the message for, and your name. Become a fan of us on Facebook by searching Geekcast Radio Network. Send us an email feedback at geekcastradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at GeekcastRadio. So until next time, make your great escape into comics and unleash the geek in you.